Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Fit Girl Audrey, and today we're going to talk about tightness and soreness, especially after doing deadlifts. I know how it feels. It can be so annoying feeling that achy, dull pain in your lower back, and it can be a very scary time experiencing that. And I know because I've been there. So in this video, we're going to discuss how I relieved that tension and soreness in my lower back. And I'm going to give you simple and effective strategies for working out safer so that you can feel more confident and stronger while going to the gym.
So let's get into it. It often boils down to a few common issues. The good news is you can fix most of these problems with better form, consistent core work, and the right warm-up routine. So in this video, first we're going to talk about the equipments, posture, and technique. Second, we will discuss the types of dynamic warm-up stretches and post-workout stretches that have helped me release the tension and increase flexibility in my lower back and spine. Third, we will talk about the exercise variations for deadlifts that reduce lower back stress. And 4, we will discuss accessory exercises that would help you not only grow your glutes, but will also strengthen your lower back and core muscles. Disclaimer, I am a certified personal trainer and not a physiotherapist. This video is designed to empower you and not to replace professional medical guidance. So seek a professional if you are going through extreme pain. Now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about proper equipment, posture, and technique. A common reason why you have lower back pain is because you haven't mastered the hip hinge movement.
And this is a common issue I see. Instead of people doing a proper hip hinge, a lot of people bend from the waist with a rounded back, especially when using a barbell. And that puts a lot of pressure on your lower back. So ditch the barbells and switch to kettlebells and dumbbells. They're just as effective. Here's why. The barbell places the load in front of your body, requiring more tension and control. And if you're not strong enough to stabilize, your form breaks down quickly. Using dumbbells or kettlebells makes it much easier to learn the hip hinge, which reinforces proper hip hinge mechanics and keeps the load centered under your body. You can also start light and gradually build up, focusing on technique over ego. And don't be ashamed if you don't understand the hip hinge pattern, because even experienced lifters can lose touch with the hip hinge pattern. The hip hinge is a neuromuscular pattern, not just a movement. So it can fade or get sloppy if not regularly practiced like a skill. One of my favorite ways for learning how to do the hip hinge is the banded hip hinge with the kettlebell. This is awesome. The band literally pulls your hips back, helping you to feel what a hip hinge is supposed to be. And also it enhances glute activation because you have to drive against backward resistance and your glutes engage more intensely, especially at the top of the lift. You're gonna have a donkey booty after this, so thank me later. A common reason you experience back pain is because you don't activate your glutes before lifting. Deadlifts are a hip-dominant movement, so the glutes need to be activated because they're the primary muscles responsible for hip extension. And if they're not activated, other muscles like the lower back or the hamstrings may overcompensate, leading to imbalance or strain. One of my favorite glute activation exercises to do is the DNS star, otherwise known as the dynamic neuromuscular stabilization exercise. I love this exercise because it primes your nervous system and activates your core and hips, and it also reinforces the exact type of stability and control you need for a safe and powerful lifting. You abduct the top leg, which fires the glute medius and minimus, and then the bottom side of the body also works to stabilize through the obliques and lateral glutes. If the DNS star is too intense for you, try the banded lateral walks. These are great before doing deadlifts because they prime the glutes to fire correctly, especially the lateral stabilizers. It also improves the hip and knee from collapsing or caving in. Always remember to go slow and controlled and don't rush. And then slightly hinge your hips to better mimic a deadlift ready stance, and your glutes will be on fire. Now let's get into the tools that could help you prevent injury and make deadlifting easier. For someone who is used to carrying heavier weights, especially during deadlifts, I recommend investing in a weightlifting belts. Weightlifting belts are so great because they help you lift heavier, safer, and smarter. And it also helps to keep your spine in a neutral position, which reduces the risk of spinal rounding. When you're lifting more than your body weight, that belt helps to create intra-abdominal pressure, which acts as a built-in back brace. But here's the thing, belts are only tools. They're not solutions. Belts won't fix bad form. They amplify what's already there. So if your form isn't dialed in, or if your core isn't doing its job, a belt won't save you, and can even make things worse by giving you a false sense of security. Wrist straps are another great tool that could make deadlifting easier and even fun. Wrist straps are kind of considered cheating in the fitness community because you're not developing your grip strength and your forearm endurance, but they are a tool just like the weightlifting belt, and whether or not to use them depends on your goals and the context. They're super helpful when you're doing volume work and want to keep your form clean without your grip fatigue ruining your set, especially when you're focusing on hypertrophy in the posterior chain. One mistake that I see a lot of people do is that they keep hammering heavy deadlifts every single week without enough recovery or having a deload week. Now, what's a deload week? A deload week is a planned reduction in training intensity, volume, or both. Think of it as a reset button for your nervous system, your joints, and muscles after weeks of progressive training. And what this typically looks like is lowering the weights to about 40 or 60% of your usual load, fewer reps or sets, reduced training frequency, or focusing on more mobility, recovery, or lighter movement. Or sometimes it can even be an active rest week like walking, yoga, or body weight only flows. Just having those 2 to 3 days of rest within the week is not good enough, especially when you're trying really hard in other areas like your squats, your high intensity training, or your sprints. Your central nervous system will not recover appropriately. Your spinal tissues will start to fatigue and your form eventually breaks down. And this is when you can experience injuries, plateaus, and even burnouts. So think of your weekly training like a budget. You only have so much recovery currency to spend. And if you spend a lot on heavy deadlifts, you might need to do lighter squats that week, swap the high intensity training for steady state cardio or mobility work, or focus on accessory work versus more max lifts. Cycle your training. Do a heavy week, then back off a bit. Give your body room to grow stronger instead of just pushing harder. The key is to train smarter, not harder. Now let's talk about the dynamic stretches that really helps to relieve the tension in my lower back. Tight hamstrings can majorly contribute to lower back pain during deadlifts, mainly because they limit your hip mobility and force your lower back to overcompensate. Foam rolling before your deadlifts can really help with tight hamstrings because it increases the blood flow in that area and it improves your hip hinge and reduces lumbar spine compensation. Another one of my favorite exercises is the pigeon pose. One reason you could be experiencing low back pain from doing deadlifts is because you have tight hips and glutes. So the pigeon pose could help release that tension and help your spine move more freely and release compression. If the regular pigeon pose is too intense for you, you can modify with the reclined pigeon pose. One of my favorite ways to release tension in my lower back is to do the supine spinal twist. I love crossing my legs over each other and gently twisting them to the opposite side of my torso. I usually hear a little crack in my lower back and the tension just melts away. But proceed with caution. I wouldn't do this if I was just starting out. I would start with a modified version. Windshield wipers are a gentler option and it still brings circulation, mobility, and relief to your lower back. As always, listen to your body. You should feel release, not strain. And if you're looking for even more relief, I created a free follow-along stretching video that goes deeper into easing your lower back tension.
You can find it in the link in the description box below. Now let's talk about the deadlift variations that will minimize aggravation to your low back and grow your glutes. If conventional barbell deadlifts are too intense right now, trap bar deadlifts are your best friend. The handles are on the sides of your body instead of in front, which naturally puts you in a better, more upright position. Research also shows that trap bar deadlifts reduce shear force on the lumbar spine and shift the load more evenly between the quads, the glutes, and the hamstrings. It's biomechanically safer, especially for beginners or folks coming back from injury. You still get that strong hip hinge movement, but with less spinal stress. Plus, the neutral grip feels more natural on the shoulders too. One common reason why people have lower back pain is because they have imbalances between their left and their right side. Single leg movements such as the wall-assisted kettlebell single leg deadlifts are amazing for correcting imbalances. Plus, you're working unilaterally, so your core has to stabilize hard to keep you balanced. And that means you're going to have a stronger core after doing this. Personally, I felt so much relief in my lower back after incorporating these regularly. If you're someone who tends to overload the spine with heavy lifts, this variation teaches you to control your movement, build glute strength, and protect your back at the same time. I highly recommend it. Now let's talk about the accessory exercises that will target the muscles or weaknesses and help you reinforce the hip hinge movement. Doing exercises that only train the superficial muscles of the core is not good enough to help you prepare for the deadlifts. All because you have a defined six-pack from doing regular crunches does not mean that you have a strong core. You need to train the deepest layer of the core, the TVA, otherwise known as the transverse abdominis. The main role of the TVA is stabilization, not movement. Anti-movement training is the best option to activate the TVA to resist motion. Exercises such as farmer carries, planks, dead bugs, and bird dogs are so effective for teaching your core to brace properly, which protects your lower back and prevents injury. Weak lower back muscles can also contribute to lower back pain from deadlifts. Seated good mornings are great for strengthening the spinal erectors, especially the lower back portion. Sitting removes the legs from the equation, forcing your lower back muscles, glutes, and hamstrings to do all the work. It's like a strict, slow-motion hinge drill that forces good habits. This workout is ideal for beginners learning the hinge or for rehab and reconditioning. I love to add this workout as an accessory work after heavy lifting. If you're using cable machines, make sure to go light with the weights so that you're not aggravating the tension in your lower back. And if all the cable machines are occupied or you feel silly doing this exercise, you can just find a hidden corner at the edge of the gym, get a low bench or a box, and you can use either some dumbbells or my personal favorite, the bumper plates for the barbells, and you can still do the seated good mornings. Remember to move slow, keep your spine neutral, and focus on hinging from the hips, not rounding your back.
And if you want to take your lifting to the next level, I have a 4-week program that's going to help you improve the foundation of your deadlift skills. You're not only going to grow bigger and rounder glutes, you're going to strengthen your core, and you're going to improve on those weaknesses that really contributes to that lower back tension. Everything is mapped out for you, no second guessing, no wondering. From form tips to mobility drills and progressions, you're going to be lifting safer, and it would help you feel stronger and more confident going into the gym. And you're going to have a banging body by the end of this summer, so thank me later. The link is in my bio, and thank you for watching. If you've loved everything that you've received from this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps my channel to grow, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.